I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
Trump returns to the White House. Trump goes on an order spree. Declares border and energy emergency. 47th US President's declaration.
A short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Gulf of Mexico, now Gulf of America. World on Trump tenterhooks.
Never has there been such a viral presidential inauguration. The internet is completely broken over what happened last night. And in case you missed any of it, I've got you covered. We're going to be telling you about all the highlights from the inauguration. But first, it's official. Remember that Donald Trump is back in the White House. And he's gotten straight down to business in signature Trump style. Soon after his inauguration, the 47th President of the United States went on an executive order blitzkrieg from declaring an emergency at the southern border to renaming the Gulf of Mexico and exiting the World Health Organization and the Paris Climate Agreement. Here's a look at what just the first few hours of Trump 2.0 looked like.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
Donald Trump is back in the House, beginning his second presidency with a slew of hard-hitting executive orders with disruptive and far-reaching impact. From ending birthright citizenship to exiting World Health Organization and Paris Climate Accord.
So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it. China with 1.4 billion people. We have 350 to pay. We have, nobody knows what we have because so many people came in illegally, but let's say we have 325. They had 1.4 billion. They were paying 39 million, we were paying 500 million.
In a big illegal immigration crackdown, Trump imposed a national emergency at the US-Mexico border to keep immigrants away.
I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
Trump pardoned about 1,500 of his supporters who have been charged in the January 6th US Capitol attack. He used his powers to dismantle the largest probe and prosecution in Justice Department history. Trump also warned of imposing 100% import and tariffs on the BRICS countries, which includes India, if they took any step towards cutting the use of the dollar in global trade.
They're a BRICS nation, Spain. You know what a BRICS nation is? Well, you'll figure it out. But, and if the BRICS nations want to do that, that's okay, but we're going to put at least a 100% tariff on the business they do with the United States. You know what the BRICS is, right?
He even vowed to send American astronauts to Mars, which got a big thumbs up from Musk.
We will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars.
The tech czar later said that the US is going to plant an American flag on the red planet.
And we're going to take Doge to Mars. I mean, can you imagine how awesome it will be to have American astronauts plant the flag on another planet for the first time?
Trump's back-to-back hard-hitting executive orders were followed by a glitzy inaugural ball with the POTUS and FLOTUS shaking a leg. And using a military sword to cut a presidential-themed cake. Trump 2.0 began with firm America First approach, promising to make the world unlike anything ever before. With Gaurav Sawant in Washington, D.C., Bureau Report, India Today.
And just a few moments of that inauguration have basically given social media and the internet probably enough content for a lifetime, from GIFs to memes to jokes of all kinds. Leave it to Trump, Melania, J.D. Vance, Usha and the others to completely break the internet. So in case you've been living under a rock and missed Melania's hat and the kiss that wasn't, to an alleged Nazi salute, to so much more, I've got you covered. Take a look at this.
The internet is complete in pieces and couldn't have asked for a better inauguration for an incoming US president. A veritable ocean of viral moments has swamped social media, enthralling billions around the world. In the unlikely event that you missed it, we've got you covered. It was a sight to behold as President Trump broke into a jig holding a ceremonial sword at the inaugural ball. Clad in a tuxedo, he made his moves to the YMCA tune, forcing Melania to smile and join her husband. Expect this to be a GIF for decades to come. Then there was Elon Musk, making waves yet again. During the inaugural rally, cameras caught what appeared to be a Nazi salute. Musk later claimed it was a misunderstood gesture meant to mimic an exaggerated wave. But the internet was less forgiving. Memes and debates exploded across every platform, but then it's Musk. He lives for this stuff. Another buzzworthy moment that's already become an instant meme came courtesy of Melania Trump. As the president leaned in for a kiss following his oath in the Capitol, her wide-brimmed Eric Javits hat proved to be an unintentional barrier. The near miss sparked laughter and a trending hashtag, #hatblocked. Meanwhile, Usha Vance turned heads, not just with her adoring smile at husband JD, but for their daughter Mirabelle, rocking fingers in band-aids. The toddler healing America with some disruptive finger fashion. The other two Vance kids clearly wanted a piece of the viral action with these antics, playing tabla on their parents' heads. While one slouched across the front of the desk, the candid moment brought smiles to an otherwise buttoned-up evening. And who could forget Bernie Sanders? The Vermont senator's signature grumpy-seated demeanor at the inauguration went viral yet again, solidifying his status as the internet's favorite curmudgeon. Fans dubbed it Grumpgate 2.0. In another viral twist, Lauren Sanchez's daring outfit turned heads for all the wrong reasons. Her peekaboo bra moment caught the attention of none other than Mark Zuckerberg, whose sidelong glance was captured and dissected by millions online. Jokes about this frame being a metaphor for Facebook's privacy habits have exploded across the internet. Speaking of Zuckerberg, the pantheon of tech titans made a rare public appearance together, sitting side by side. Elon Musk, Sundar Pichai, Jeff Bezos and Zuckerberg looked more like they were at a tech summit than a political event. Conspicuous by their absence were Microsoft's biggies Bill Gates and Satya Nadella. And finally, Carrie Underwood turned a technical glitch into a showstopper. When the Capitol sound system failed, she belted out a song in a cappella. the wrinkle in an otherwise largely smooth day.
For Purple Mountain.
From sword dances to sound system snafus, this inauguration will be remembered as a blend of tradition, controversy and humanity. And whether you loved it or loathed it, it's safe to say we won't see another one quite like it anytime soon. Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, Trump in his speech spoke about his vision for America over the next 4 years, his second presidency, remember. In an interesting side note, External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, who was representing the country, was given front row seating during the ceremony. And this, as you know, is no coincidence. These are very, very deliberately decided things. Dr. Jaishankar was seen alongside the Ecuadorian President, Daniel Noboa. Even the Japanese Foreign Minister, Takeshi Iwaya, was seated 2 rows behind. This, according to experts, signifies the strength of the India-US relationship and how the US views India as a rising global power. Well, Donald Trump is back in the White House, and you better believe it, a fresh push for stricter immigration policies was brand on day one, from securing borders to limiting visas and revisiting birthright citizenship. The administration is making immigration reform a top priority. But what does this mean for India? What does India gain from Trump 2.0? Take a look at this.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, the Honorable Donald John Trump.
Donald Trump is back in the White House, and with him, a renewed focus on immigration policy. From tighter borders to a crackdown on visas and birthright citizenship, his administration is making it clear that immigration reform is a top priority.
First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
But what does it mean for one of the fastest growing immigrant groups in the US, Indians? Many Indians, especially those in the tech and healthcare sectors, rely on H-1B visas to work in the US. The Trump administration has already signaled that it plans to reduce the number of visas issued, prioritizing those with higher salaries and specialized skills. This could impact thousands of Indian workers as well as the US economy, which depends heavily on their expertise. Trump is also revisiting the contentious issue of birthright citizenship. The administration aims to prevent children born to non-citizen parents from automatically gaining US citizenship. This could affect many Indian families who come to the US on work or student visas and have children born on American soil. Further restrictions could make it more difficult to skilled Indian workers to stay in the country. As the administration moves forward with its immigration agenda, one thing is clear. The debate over America's immigration could reshape the future for millions. The question remains, will this new approach strengthen or strain the relationship between the US and one of its most vital immigrant communities? Bureau Report, India Today.
And remember, the Trump shockwave is being felt all across the world, from economics to geopolitics to stock markets to banks everywhere to financial institutions. Everyone is on tenterhooks for Trump 2.0. India Today's Rahul Kaval is at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, where he spoke to the IMF's first Deputy Managing Director, Geeta Gopinath. What does she think of Trump 2.0 and what to expect? Take a look.
To talk about the impact that American President Donald Trump's economic policies and his new trade tariffs could have on India and the rest of the world, we're joined at the India Today Business Today studios at the World Economic Forum by one of the world's leading economists, the first Deputy Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Dr. Geeta Gopinath. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to have you. I want to start by asking you about what you're making of American President Donald Trump's determination to impose new trade tariffs. From the IMF's lens and from your own personal point of view, how do you see that pan out in actuality, belligerence versus reality?
Rahul, always a pleasure to join you. President Trump said he would hit the ground running, and he has done that, and he's announced a lot of measures. He's been more concrete on immigration and on energy, on tariffs, on trade policy more generally. He has, pointed to intent, but we have yet to see what exactly he will do. The details matter, and the reason I'm saying that is because if you look at the tariffs that were done in 2018-19, the details didn't matter in terms of what products you put your tariffs on. That's going to determine how much of an inflationary effect it will have. How countries retaliate, that was absolutely critical for what the consequences were going to be. But, in general, what we have seen based on historical evidence is that if we end up in a place where there are lots of tit-for-tat tariffs that happen, then that's a net negative for the world as a whole.
So how much of an impact do you think this could have on global growth? It will, of course, determine, as you say, it will be determined by what tariffs he imposes, yes, what countermeasures the other countries employ. But how do you see this impact global growth? Because the latest IMF forecast seems to suggest global growth slowing down on its own even before these tariffs have come into place.
So in addition to knowing what the details are on the tariffs, there are a lot of other policies that are being announced by the US government. So, for example, which they plan to do, which is to make the tax cuts permanent, to have more financial deregulation. There is a lot of positive sentiment. Foreign direct investments into the U.S. is very strong at this point. So all of that can have an offsetting effect. So in fact, our near-term assessment is that there are more upside risks to the U.S. economy. Now, what that usually means is that if there's more growth in the U.S. economy, it does have spillovers to the rest of the world, and that can be positive too. While many of the other policies on the trade front and so on will be more of a downside risk for the rest of the world. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not just about trade and tariff policy, but there's a lot that's happening on taxes, a lot that's happening on immigration, on energy, and so on. So we have to look at the sum total to be able to say what will happen to global growth.
President Trump has called India tariff king and threatened tariffs against India as well. How do you see that impact the India-America bilateral trade and India's growth and India's desire to build its own economy at this time?
This is going to be an environment where, the U.S. is going to have bilateral negotiations with all their trading partners to address what they feel are unfair trade practices, that the fact that their products get imposed higher tariffs than what the U.S. imposes on products coming out of other countries. And so, there is a valid point of whether this is a level playing field or not, and therefore I think countries will have to negotiate this. As you know, and I've said this before to you too, our view at the IMF is that India could afford to cut back on some of its tariffs just for its own sake, because this is an opportunity for India to plug itself into global supply chains. Everybody is looking to diversify, and I hear from almost everyone that India is a very attractive destination. But to be able to go in, you will need somewhat lower tariffs in India too. So that will help India directly. Again, but like I said, every country is going to be negotiating this.
And since it is the United States and an inauguration in Trump style, it wasn't just the political landscape that got attention. Fashion also took center stage, and I dare say in some ways even more center stage than everything else. Melania Trump exuded glamour in a white satin gown and black geometric detailing on the front, but not everyone's fashion choices were actually met with praise. We've got you covered as well on the big fashion moments that turned heads.
A hat that covered half her face to a full face reveal. First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, was a study in contrast at her husband's inauguration day. If she created a buffer zone for a kiss with Trump during his swearing-in ceremony, she cozied up for a dance at the inauguration ball. Dressed in a strapless off-white silk crepe dress with 2 bands of black silk, she borrowed a diamond brooch that was created by Harry Winston in 1955 and wore it as a choker. For the dress, Melania relied on her stylist, French-born Hervé Pierre, who is also an American citizen. Pierre also created the ethereal gown that she wore in 2017 to attend the inaugural balls with her husband. It's her hat, however, that's having a moment of its own. The unmissable navy and white hat by Eric Javits has inspired memes and attained cult virality. From being compared to Hamburglar to American gangster Al Capone and Gestapo. The hat even earned praise from her husband and the President of the United States.
Then we went out to the helicopter, though, just prior to this and said goodbye. And it's a custom, and the wind is blowing like crazy. And with the hat that she's wearing, she almost blew away. We almost lost off her. She was being elevated off the ground. She almost blew away. No. So we all appreciate it because she's been a great First Lady. A beautiful and a great First Lady. And they love our First Lady.
If floaters were setting fashion trends, slow-tist Usha Vance wasn't far behind. She chose a blue strapless gown as she arrived with Trump's second-in-command to the Commander-in-Chief ball, drawing comparisons with Frozen's Elsa. The other stunner of the night was Ivanka Trump, who wore a white strapless gown by Givenchy. The ensemble is an exact replica of Audrey Hepburn's iconic floral gown from her movie Sabrina and is considered one of cinema's most unforgettable costumes. From formal to glamorous, the fashion forecast for Trump 2.0 looks very, very positive. Bureau Report, India Today.